What's up, guys? My name is Jesse. Today is going to be my attempt at a low budget garage door installation. My wife and I just bought this house about a month ago. It was December, and had some pretty cold temperatures, actually some record cold temperatures since then. And the house stays warm, but this is a basement garage. There's no insulation on this door. And if I'm being honest, I just like things cheap, not because I necessarily have to have them cheap. I'm just stingy. And I also like to do things myself. So this door is not powered. It's just got the old spring style roll up. And I wanted to do this as cheap as possible to see if it'd make a difference at all in the amount that the heat runs upstairs. So I found this stuff at Lowe's. It's pretty cheap. I don't remember exactly. I want to say these were like 10-15 bucks a piece, something like that. There are 6 3/4 inch thick panels in this package. They are 48 inches by 13 5/8 inches. So roughly 1 by 4. This is a standard 7 by 9 garage door. I figured it up based on just the square inches that I could get 3 packages of these cut to fit, and hopefully stick all this to this door here and at least make a noticeable difference on how much the heat is running upstairs. We don't really like the house super warm. It's actually set to like 64 during the day, 65 at night, but still anything helps. I'm hoping it can make at least just a marginal difference in the temperature down here to make it more comfortable in my workspace, as well as, once again, not work the heat as hard. If it makes even a minimal difference, this will pay for itself. So let's get started. I got the styrofoam panels. I also got this stuff right here. Best I figured up, it should be enough. Holds up to 15 pounds. This is styrofoam. It weighs next to nothing. So we're gonna get going on this. First step is gonna be to clean this door. So the first thing that I've thought about here is that that tape is going to have to go along these raised edges, because it's just a stamped door. I don't think that styrofoam is going to compress very much. So probably going to lay the tape out along this spot here, and hope that's enough to hold it. 15 pounds, hopefully. But that's my plan. Let's see how it goes. So the first potential issue I see here is that this says application temperature 50 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's probably 40 outside, give or take. I'm assuming that means this door's gonna be about the same. Might even actually be a little bit colder than that. It was colder last night. I'm not asking a whole lot of it. I'm gonna go ahead and try it anyway. We'll see how it goes. Childproof, there's that. Okay. Looks like we got a little starter spot in there. See if I can outsmart the tape roll here. Probably not. I'm not struggling, you're struggling. All right, there we go, cool. Also, I'd probably say the most ideal way to do this is gonna be with scissors. I did not bring them down here with me. Knife it is. Watch your fingers. So yeah, the pocket knife idea didn't pan out real well. They did work. I got one piece laid here. Definitely worth getting the scissors. So we went upstairs and got the scissors. All right, so I'm gonna start with these vertical strips and see if that's enough to hold it. You can already kind of tell it doesn't want to stick. I guess this door is just too cold. I'll put a little more pressure on it whenever I'm actually applying the styrofoam, but for now we're gonna go with this and hope for the best. I know I'm gonna have to piece stuff together here because those panels aren't even as big as this. So I may end up having to add more in different places, but this is where I'm starting. All right, so I'm gonna start with these vertical strips and see if that's enough to hold it. You can already kind of tell it doesn't want to stick. I guess this door is just too cold. I'll put a little more pressure on it whenever I'm actually applying the styrofoam, but for now we're gonna go with this and hope for the best. I know I'm gonna have to piece stuff together here because those panels aren't even as big as this. So I may end up having to add more in different places, but this is where I'm starting. All right, piece number one. I'm gonna kind of size it up here, tuck it back in there. That looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel the tape and see what happens. Technical difficulties. Everything's got to be childproof. Come on. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on. This is a job for fingernails. I don't have any. Tuck that back in there. And whoop. Have no idea if that's going to survive, but we'll see. Also, I feel it's worth mentioning, I'm going to go ahead and do all the full pieces that I can. And then that way, maybe there'll be some consistency as to what size smaller pieces I need. And that way I can just kind of cut them all at once or whatever. I'm probably just going to follow this pattern here and keep moving on and see how it goes. Going to number two. Okay, so that's already going to be a little bit interesting. All right. Cool. Next. I'll be honest, I don't remember how I figured up how much tape I was going to need, but I just finished doing all these panels just like this. 4 vertical strips on the raised places on all of the door, and had exactly this much left. So I'm gonna call that a win if it works. Crucial details. So at this point, I'm coming to the realization this stuff legitimately might not stick until the temperature's a little bit higher on this door. And I think there was still a little bit of residue from the cleaner, and maybe that's the issue. I mean, it was dry, but I'm just using a multi-purpose cleaner. It's nothing fancy, but nothing real caustic. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna keep going, just see what happens. But I may have to back up and regroup. Just about to stick this piece in the bottom left, and I realized this little handle goober kind of has these little tubes that are running in through there. So I'm going to cut a little corner out for those so I can still kind of get it flush up in there. I want to fill as much of the space as I can on this door. Figure the less bare sheet metal, the better. All right, so I'm just going to do a little quick measure here to see exactly what I'm going to cut out. A little more than an inch there. I know you can't really see that. And then also about 2.5 there, 2 3/4 there. We'll do about 2 inch by 3 inch, just to make sure I got plenty of room. That little bit's not gonna make a big difference. About like that. That's not working at all. Job for handy dandy pocket knife. And like that, and yeah. I got that the wrong way. Should have been vertical. So I'm just gonna do this right here, and we're just gonna pretend that happened on purpose. Yeah. Blame the knife. So I got all my hole pieces in there. My OCD is screaming right now. But yeah, well, you know, it's cool. Moving on to the small pieces. Gonna kind of guesstimate about 6 inches here. It's a little bit more than that, but you can see that or not. I can't get it all the way up in there because this isn't flat. But I'm just gonna get it as close as I can. We're gonna say roughly, we'll splurge for 6.5. I could set these with 13 5/8. Not that I don't believe them, but I'd actually say a little less than that. But I'm thinking about just cutting these Johnnies in half, right down the middle, and see if I can make that work. I think that might be the ticket. For all you mathletes out there, I'm just going to round down to 13.5 to make things simpler, because it's going to be a rough edge anyway. And half of that's 6 3/4 right there. So I'm just going to make a rough cut right down the middle of this thing, and hope for the best. So watching me do that as lazily as possible, it's probably a lot like watching a greased orangutan try to climb a water slide. But I think it's gonna work. I'm gonna kind of just break this in half here and see what I got. Not perfectly straight, but I think it'll work. We'll see what happens. So that actually worked out better than I anticipated. That fit right up in the little nook. The ugly edge is up here where you can't really see it. Fills the space nicely. So yeah, I think I'm gonna continue with that method. See what I got left. I'm seeing a few flaws in my my lack of planning here, just a little bit, but I think it's gonna work fine. I'm really not so much concerned with how it looks as much as the function, and that time will only tell. But I'm looking, and obviously I goofed up and put this one on upside down, and the tape's sticking pretty well because I can't get it back off. It's tearing the styrofoam, so there's that. But anyway, I'm realizing I probably should have moved all of these this way, because that leaves this strip of tape in this nice open spot. Whereas down here, it's accessible, but it's just this edge. And I think once I stick stuff behind here and then stick it to that, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna stay, it's not gonna fall out. But I feel like that may have held up better if I'd have done them all this way. This panel is not as wide as that panel. So the single piece ended up covering all of the tape on this side. So I'm not sure about what I'm gonna do here. I may just have to buy more tape. I'm thinking I may just go ahead and cut a piece that fits in this area pretty snug, because there's an overhang here, and obviously this pocket. So I'm thinking I might be able to just shove a piece in there and maybe even double it up and it hold itself there, and I may not have to put any tape, but I'm gonna start over here first, get this side done, and we'll see what happens after that. Also, I feel it's worth noting, this used exactly 12 pieces of this panel. So I still have one unused package to make up all the gaps with. All that there, and this here, and all that over there. So I definitely have enough material. I'll probably have a little left over. I'm not sure how much, I'm not really worried about it. I did look, it was $10.48 a pack. So all in all, I'm gonna be in this for less than 40 bucks, including the tape. And if it makes any difference at all, I'm gonna call that a win. So yeah. So these panel gaps here ended up being right at 7 inches, maybe a little bit more, by, I'm gonna rough it and say 20 and a half. So for that reason, I'm just gonna break these other panels in half again, you know, the roughly 6 3/4 mark, and then cut them to length. And that little bit of difference, a little bit of gaps, not gonna change anything. And use as much material as I can, as efficiently as I can. So I've done 2 of those pieces now. I filled that gap pretty well. It's not perfect, but I think it's gonna do its job. This side fit a little better. I like this a little bit more. We're gonna continue, finish up this side, and then I'm going to move to this side and see what I can come up with there. Worked out pretty well. I'm happy with that. Again, not perfect. I'm also realizing that there's a fair amount of cold air comes through this crack. You just kind of feel it with the back of your hand. So I may get some of that really thin, like screen door felt fuzz stuff, and see if I can't put that in between these 2 panels. Might be a bit overkill. I'm gonna measure these next, see what I got. So I measured these pieces just a little bit tight, and they're actually pressed up against this outside edge and these inner pieces of foam. And I don't think I'm gonna have to do anything to hold them there. So I'm gonna call that a win as well. Thought about if I needed to, I could just put a second piece in this edge here. And I may still do that if I have a bunch left over. But I don't think it's gonna be necessary. I think the fitment's really good. So, got that all done. I'm pretty happy with it. Of course, it's yet to be seen if it's gonna make any difference at all, but I feel like it almost has to, because before you could kind of just feel the ambient cold coming off the steel, and you can't feel that now. Obviously, we'll have to see if that make any difference to ambient temperature down here in the basement. But overall, I'm happy so far. The fit's pretty good. Wasn't hard to install. I've been at it a couple hours, maybe total. And then that's including the running upstairs intermittently to go yell at the kids. Beverage breaks. We used pretty much the whole roll of tape. We have 4 of those panels left over. And excuse the mess, we're still getting moved in and settled and figuring out where everything's going. But yeah, I feel like this almost has to make a difference. And I'm almost tempted to, with the pieces I have left over, put some on these windows. Kind of help with security a little bit. And also maybe with some temperature. So I feel like there's probably some temperature loss here. These are just old single pane windows. But yeah, so I'm a couple hours in, less than 40 bucks. I'm happy with it. My internal thermometer is usually pretty close. It is roughly 40 degrees and raining outside today. I was gonna guesstimate it was 55 degrees down here. I didn't have a thermometer, but I broke out the old trusty baby monitor that we haven't used in quite a while. And it is telling me temperature is too low for a baby at KM1. I know. That temperature is dancing around 54, 55, 53, somewhere in there, pointed at the door. I set another one on this workbench here that kind of points over that direction. That one says 60 degrees. So we'll see how well this translates to, you know, insulation over time. This second one right here is about 10 feet from the actual heat unit. I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not. It's also kind of centralized underneath the house. You hear the kids running around upstairs. So I'm curious to see if there's actually any difference between these two. This one's showing 60 degrees over here. That one's showing 54, 55. It's kind of dancing. I'm not sure if it's going to come up any more than that. But I am definitely curious to see if this is going to make any difference at all. So stay tuned. All right, so it's almost 4 hours later. 3.5 hours roughly later. And I've just kind of been loosely monitoring the temperature downstairs. The temperature outside has dropped about 5 degrees. It's like 36. This keeps going back and forth from 57 to 58. This is the one that was bouncing back and forth between 54 and 55 when we finished. So I have not monitored that temperature before, so I don't really have a control, but that seems promising. So we shall see. Just want to throw it out there. This foam's been up there for about 2 or 3 weeks now. The temperatures haven't been nearly as drastic outside, but it has maintained probably a steady 60 degrees down here since this had time to equalize. It's been pretty good. The door's also been opened, closed several times, just like normal. Not trying to baby it. Nothing's fallen off. Nothing's gotten out of position. So I think we're good to go. I think this is well worth $40 investment. And if it doesn't give me any issues, I'm going to leave it just like it is. Thanks for watching.